everyone, Kendall here with Lazy Llama Creations. Today we're going to be crocheting this little toad. This is a beginner-friendly pattern. I'm going to cover everything. If you didn't watch my last video, which was the cereal bowl, I have been having some hand dexterity issues. I'm currently being evaluated for a neurological condition, and I've been having hand tremors and hand weakness, and honestly, it's been really hard to crochet. For this video, the body is the exact same as my yellow bird or canary, so I'm going to insert the clips from the canary. You're going to follow the exact same thing, remove the eyes, and just do it in green. Then I'll pop back in, show you how to do the belly, the eyes, and little details. Also for sewing, however you want to sew this guy on, it totally works. It doesn't matter. Just sew your pieces on. If you have like your mark showing on the pink, kind of looks more cartoonish, but then everything else is green on green, so it's really hard for the marks to show. For supplies, you're going to need medium weight 4 yarn in green and pink with a small amount of black, stuffing, a 5mm crochet hook, 10mm safety eyes, stitch marker, tapestry needle, and scissors, and a small piece of black for the smile. Thank you so much for your patience with my hand tremors and everything. This isn't quite as an extensive tutorial as I would have hoped or I like to make, but this is what we're working with right now, so I'm just excited to get something out there. So let's jump right in. I'm going to take my crochet hook. I have my yarn. This is our tail, our dead end, the end of your yarn. This is the yarn that's attached to the ball or the skein. You're going to take it and wrap it around your hand to form an X. You're going to hold it in the middle. Hook goes under, then over, and we're going to scoop this underneath. Just like that. We're going to twist it up and pull it off our hands. And then do this thing called a chain, which is when we pull our yarn through our loop. So I'm going to put the yarn on the crochet hook and pull through. And that's our magic ring. But let me show you again. I have my tail, wrap around to make an X, hold in the middle, under, over, pull through, twist up, and then do our chain. We're then going to make 6 single crochets in this loop. Our single crochets are one of the smallest, most basic stitches of crochet. You'll find it in tons of the stuffed animal or amigurumi patterns. Crocheters love single crochets. To do one, you're going to insert your hook in the middle of the loop, yarn over, which is when we place the yarn on top of the hook, pull through. So we have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and then pull through both loops. And that's 1 single crochet. So again, I'm going to go through the middle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that's a second. Through the middle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. That was stitch 3. So I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6. Each stitch is this little V, a little oval. Can't see it too well on the sides. If I pull it apart a little bit, you can see that's a stitch. I'm going to take my tail and pull it so that it actually forms this cute little ring. And now we have the start of our crochet piece. these are our stitch markers, which are like little clothespin, safety pin looking things. Safety pins, not clothespins. Look at things. We're going to attach it into the last stitch that we made, that V. Close it up. This is going to help us find the beginning and the end when we're working in our rounds. Because we're going to be working in a spiral, so we're just going to keep on going around and around and around. So this will make sure we know the beginning and the end of each round. Our magic ring with the 6 single crochets, that was 1 round. So now we're going on to round 2, which according to our pattern says increase 6 times. An increase is just 2 single crochets next to each other. So we have 6 stitches. At the end of round 2, we should have 12. So we're going to put 2 stitches in each of the 6, so that we have 12, so we're just doubling it. I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch that we made. The first one's always a little tight. It's not you, it's the crochet piece. Just kind of wiggle, stick it in. I'm going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through again. So I have 1 single crochet. Before we move on, I'm going to stick my crochet hook in the same stitch and do another single crochet. So now we have 2 in 1 stitch. I like to picture it like a little flower, so we have like a small beginning, but then we want even petals on the side, so it kind of gets bigger evenly. I'm going to move to the next stitch. Again, I'm working in a spiral, so I'm literally just scooting over and do another increase. So that's 1 single crochet, and then in the same hole, doing a second. And then I'll do that again. And again. Moving over. I'm in my last one, and this is my cat Cashew. He likes to help with videos sometimes. I'm sure his sister Peanut's gonna help too. I'm gonna take out my stitch marker. I'm gonna do our increase. And then I'm going to put the stitch marker back in to the new end of the round. So we're kind of moving it up each time. And now we have this small little circle, which is round 1 and round 2. You should have 12 single crochets at the end of this round. And you can count them by looking at those V's. Grab my tapestry needle. So like that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do this all the way around, so you have 12. The next round, round 3, it says we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase. And there's a comma in that bracket, which is important. So in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And then we're done with that. In the next stitch, that comma means we're moving over. We're going to be doing an increase, which is again those 2 single crochets. So this repetition for the round is a little series of 3. 1 and then an increase. Or in my head sometimes I'll say double. So 1 and then a double. And we're going to repeat this. So the next stitch we're going to do 1. And then the next stitch a double or an increase. And we're going to do this for the whole round. So 1 and then a double. One, then a double. And I know I'm crocheting fast. Hey, I've done it since I was 14 years old. Don't forget, 1, pause this video. I will still be here for you. As well as that in the corner, the little gears button, you can can change the speed. So yeah, I'll sound a little funny, but you can watch me slow down these stitches and it might be a little easier. You can see at the end, I removed my stitch marker, did my last increase, and then I'm gonna put it back. And our circle's getting a little rounder, a little bigger. You can tell it kind of curls up a little bit. That's okay, that's normal, no biggie. If it's curling up a lot, you might have messed up the pattern a little bit. You might have put too many increases. So you might want to take it out and kind of make sure you're counting. At the end of this row, you should have 18. Another thing to remember, this is our tail from that very beginning magic ring. This is the inside. So if you're looking at it and you're like, mine's kind of ugly. My stitches aren't clean. This tail's in the way. What am I doing? Boop. Just turn it around. If you followed my tutorial for my crochet plants, a lot of people will show me their crocheted pot and they'll be like, hey, mine's ugly and it doesn't sit weird and it sits super weird and it's off. And then I'm like, flip it inside out. Boom. They did amazing work and they did it right. You just gotta flip it around. Next round, you're gonna start seeing a pattern here. It says 2 single crochets and then an increase. So single crochet 2 is different than an increase. So we're gonna do 1, 1, and then an increase. In newer crochet patterns, as in the past 10 years, you'll notice the word increase. Sometimes people use 2 single crochets instead. I find that confusing. If you follow any Lousy Llama crochet patterns, I will always say increase versus single crochet 2. If I'm saying single crochet 2, I mean 1 and then 1 and then an increase. Well, let's not get confusing here. So we're gonna do 1, 1, and then an increase. 1, 1, and then an increase. And we'll do this for the whole round. One, 1, increase. 1, 1, increase. 1, 1, take out the marker, increase. And then put it back in. And now we have a bigger circle. Again, you can see mine curving a little bit, that's okay. Okay, I'm at the end of the round. And now instead of doing more increases, we're gonna do rounds of single crochets. So a little tip, instead of putting this through the stitch like we normally do, I'm actually gonna put it on the side of the stitch. That way we don't have to move it every single round. This works when we're doing 1 single crochet in every stitch. Not so much when you're doing something precise like 2 single crochets and then an increase, because you want that to be really exact. But for this, it's okay if it's not. So we're not gonna do any increases. We're just gonna do 5 rounds of single crochet. So you're literally just gonna do 1 single crochet in every single stitch. We'll do this for 5 rounds, but I'll show you when we get around to the stitch marker how we're kind of ignoring it and continuing on. This also works because we're crocheting in a spiral instead of joining for each round. We just continuously keep on working. All right, coming around, I'm not gonna move my stitch marker. I'm just continuing to crochet. See? And now I can see I did 1. So I'm going to go around 5 times, and it sort of lines up with the stitch marker. So go ahead and single crochet for 5 rounds. See, I kind of lined it up with the stitch marker. Now I'm going to take this out and put it back in our stitch because our next round is going to be more precise like we did earlier. The next round is going to be 3 single crochets and then an increase. So similar to the 2 single crochets and then an increase, but with 3. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. And we'll repeat that for a total of 6 times all the way around. 1, 2, 3, increase. 2, 3, increase. I also want to take a note here, if my piece looks bigger than yours, I'm using some spare yarn I have, which I believe is a little different than the yarn you have in your kits. This yarn is feeling very stiff today. I'm not exactly sure why. But if you're like, mine's coming out smaller, don't worry, that's completely normal. This is just really stiff today. Okay, coming around the end, taking out our marker, doing the last increase. Yeah, it looks so big. My sample was not this big. Now I'm going to put my stitch marker on the side again because we're going to be doing more rounds of single crochet if I can get it. We are going to do 6 rounds of single crochets. So just 1 single crochet in every stitch for a total of 6 rounds. Now you can see our piece is starting to actually look like a bird, or at least a blob, which I think birds look like. So an increase is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So if you can imagine, a decrease is combining 2 single crochets into 1, or 2 any stitches, but for this project it's going to be single crochets. Move my stitch marker back up because we want to be exact again. We're going to repeat the same thing backwards. So our last round of increases was 3 single crochets increase. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets decrease. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. For a decrease, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, kind of like the beginning of a single crochet. Instead of finishing it off, I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch next to it. Yarn over, pull through, so you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. Because you're combining 2 stitches, you'll want to make sure you pull a little extra tight when you're making it, just because you're literally pulling your crochet piece closer together. And if they're loose, you'll see the stuffing. So I'll do my 3 single crochets again. 1, 2, 3, and then decrease, insert, yarn over, pull through, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, so you have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. And you're going to repeat this for the round. So 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, and then our very last decrease for the round. The next round is going to be 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1, 2, decrease, all the way around, pulling nice and tight. 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, and 1, 2, taking out our marker, decrease. Next round is probably what you would have guessed, 1 single crochet and then a decrease. I know it's getting tight, it's getting stiff, but you are physically pulling your piece together, so hang in there. It's okay. This takes a little bit getting used to. 1 single crochet and then a decrease. Decreases was something that took me a little bit to master as a beginner. They used to be really loose, so you can like see all my stuffing. It takes a lot to like remember to tighten your tension and do things a little differently. That's okay. One of the cool parts about this project is that the decreases are on the bottom. So if your top is pretty, no one's really gonna see the bottom, especially if you have it displayed on like a little shelf or something, or on your desk. No one really sees it. Okay. 1 more decrease. Okay, we're gonna pause here for a sec and we're actually gonna stuff our little bird. I have my pouch of stuffing. We're not going to need all of this. The best stuffing technique is to pull apart into small clumps and place it individually. That way you kind of have control over the shape. And it also uses less stuffing. If you just ball the whole thing up, you'll use all the stuffing, but you actually don't really need it, especially if you want it to remain nice and fluffy. So I'm just going to keep on pulling small clumps. Obviously placing at the head first, because that's further away. And then the body. I want my bird Blitz to be as round as possible. So I'm going to stuff him extra on the sides. I'm also, you can tell when I'm stuffing, I kind of pull my working yarn away. If you stuff it inside, that's fine. You'll just have to pull it out and that might pull out some of the stuffing. So it's just kind of easier if you pull it around before. Okay, he's getting there. It's looking like a little pill or, well, it looks like a peep really is what it looks like. Well, we don't got peeps here. He is Blitz the bird, so he's gonna have to look like a bird. I'm shaping him, kind of forming his neck a little bit more. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Cute. Yeah, see, this is all the extra stuffing. You'll have extra stuffing. On the bottom, we need to do 6 decreases. The bottom is difficult. The last round of decreases is usually difficult. It's hard to see and you might skip some stitches, and that's okay. We're just gonna try to get 6 decreases. If you don't, that is a-okay. And you'll just close it up a different way. So I'm gonna do 1. I kind of pinch mine, even though we worked so hard on the shaping. We'll fix it at the end, because it's easier for me to get my hook into my stitches. So my second decrease out of 6. 3. Oh yeah, it's tight. 4. 5. Oh, I think that's all I got right now. I don't think I can fit the 6th one because of how tight it is, and that's okay. The hole's still pretty small. I'm gonna fasten off, so cut that nice long tail. Pull our loop through, and we're gonna sew up the bottom. So if your bottom's a little gappy, has some spaces in it, no big deal. You can fix it now. Put my tail on my needle, And you can close the bottom however you want. I like doing it the cinch closure way, which means I'm going to go in all the stitches on the outside and pull tight. Just like that, and pull. I'm going to add a knot just so it doesn't come undone. Slide my knot all the way to the end. Boom. Now we don't just want to cut our yarn because it can come undone. We're going to do this thing called hiding our tails. With a 3D object like Blitz, it's super easy. My tail's on my tapestry needle. I'm going to poke right through where our tail is. Make sure a couple inches through and poke out anywhere else. Don't pull too tight, you'll change the shape. And then you can cut this off. So now for it to come undone, it's going to have to come out multiple inches and through the knot and through the fastening off, and that's more unlikely. Okay, this is what your finished body should look like. It looked exactly like the yellow bird, but in green, because this will be our finished product. For the eyes, they're gonna look like this. And to do it, you're gonna take your green yarn. You're gonna do that magic ring. You're gonna start the exact same way that you started the body, with that magic ring, chain 1, and then 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull it. You're going to do 6 increases. Again, this is exactly like the beginning of the frog. Rounds 1 and 2 are exactly the same. Remember, an increase is 2 single crochets into 1 stitch. So this is 3, 4. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then you're going to single crochet in each stitch for 2 rounds. So this is pretty small for a stitch marker, it's kind of going to get in my way. So I'm just going to keep track in my head. I'm just going to count to 24. I'm going to go 1 single crochet in every single stitch, all the way to 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. And you have something that looks like this. You're going to cut a nice long string because we'll use it for sewing. We're going to attach the eyes right on here. These are 10mm eyes. And put my backs on. Cool. And then you get to sew it exactly right on top of his head. You sew it however way you want. I always say it doesn't matter as long as it stays, and I mean that. Just go ahead and sew it right on top using that mighty cool tapestry needle. You can also add the smile. I have a piece of black yarn that's pretty long, and I want to start from the back. I like doing this after I sew on both eyes. I want to pull that black through, draw a straight line across, and I come out underneath it, and then scoop, and then back at the back. And then you can trim it and kind of make sure that your tails are back inside. After the smile, you can make the arms and the belly. The belly, you're going to start the exact same way you started the frog. Well, his body, I suppose. Magic ring, chain 1, 6 single crochets, then 6 increases, and then 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and then 2 single crochets, 1 increase. The exact same way you start at the top. Literally the exact same. You're going to do those 4 rounds in pink and then cut your tail. Then you'll sew it right onto the frog. Whip this pink in the back. I want to add little spots. So I'm going to start on the bottom Try not to get your yarn tangled like me. And then you'll just do little dots however you want them. This project is meant to be creative. So you can do what you like, what you think looks best. I like going over each dot twice and doing them in like little clusters of 3, but that's just my preference. And then poke out the bottom, cut and shove it back in. This was on my final guy. I kind of did it like that, and then some near the head to make it more toad-like. For the arms and the legs, it's going to be a magic ring, 6 single crochets, and that's it, just like you started everything else. So you make that magic ring, the chain 1, 6 single crochets, 3, 4, 5, 6, pull tight, nice long piece. That's it. You'll make 4 of those and then sew it on. This is your finished product. He's got 2 little arms and 2 little legs, a big old smile, 2 eyes, and a belly. And then I did the little pink accents to add a little bit more character to our little toad. Thank you so much for joining me as we made Tilly the toad, this adorable little frog-like, toad-like creature. No, I don't know the differences between frogs and toads. I'm sure you could educate me in the comments and tell me why this is probably not a toad, but I'm calling it a toad because it's a cartoon little crocheted figure, and that's what I decided. Her name is Tilly. Thank you so much for joining me and for your patience with my hands and everything. Yeah. It hasn't been awesome. It's been very frustrating, so I just appreciate you guys sticking with it and following along anyway. If you came from one of my crochet kits, don't forget you get a full PDF tutorial on your crochet kit when you log in to access the video. You also get a full PDF that covers a written pattern for this. Again, my name is Kendall. I will see you in the next video. Bye!